Good afternoon. Hopefully I am alive. Welcome. This is Captain Stitches and I am Jean. It's Wednesday in the cottage. So, what am I stitching on now? Well, do any of the rest of you know how it is when you discover something new and you just really fall in love with it? So your mind just keeps wandering all over the place, trying to come up with more ideas. Well, mine's been in overtime, overdrive, overtime, whatever it may be. And you all know that I have plenty of things in the cottage that can catch my mind. And when the wheels start turning, I have lots of patterns, lots of kits, lots of books, lots of projects, and a humongous stash of fabric to be able to pull from. So, what am I working on now? As Whip pops up to say hello to everyone. Oh, and he's going to be a little vocal. Here we go. And Ginger says, yes, in the middle of the night. Yeah. Well, I don't go to bed until morning, so that's okay. But I understand, Ginger, and thank you. But welcome everybody, by the way. I know that Randy is with us, Joe is with us, Debbie is with us, and Ginger is with us. I think that's everybody so far. Don't think I've missed anybody, but I want to get on to what I am working on. And I am going to just go ahead and switch cameras real quickly so that I can show this to you better. Hopefully I get the correct camera. Yes, there we go. So I am going to be working on this pattern right here that is actually a wool applique pattern, but I am not going to be doing it with wool applique. Instead, I am going to be doing it with the coloring technique. And so I will be stitching the log cabin blocks and everything regular, but where it shows the wool applique and the saying above that, I will be doing that with the coloring technique instead. So what did I need to do to change that pattern over so that I could do that? Because in wool applique or any applique, you have templates. This is using freezer paper templates. So there is not a diagram to use to be able to trace this onto my background fabric here to use the coloring technique, which actually what the pattern has is it has this, which is not the exact way that the words are printed on there. And you see, this is the template that you have to put that flower together. Well, that's a little hard to trace that way into the row. And then they have the other smaller ones here. And then they have a couple going this way on the pattern, a couple going that way on the pattern. I think that is, oops, and I just turned my light box on by mistake. Sorry about that. Turn that off. Don't need the light in your eyes. So I needed to take this and somehow come up with a way to be able to trace that onto my background. So I took those two sheets and I made all of these individual copies that I would need to be able to make yeah, it took quite a few because of the way that it was all in different pieces. So by taking all of those, I was able to come up with, and we're going to scooch that out of the way, this for right now. I was able to come up with my long pattern here to be able to lay on my light box and then put my background fabric on top of this and trace that all and the words. And it is right here. So that is traced with a Pigma pen. onto my fabric by using that and the light box. And I want to move that down so you can see that it is all on there. So that part is all prepared. Oops, that went out of focus, didn't it? Okay, so we don't need that camera anymore. We will move along. Hello, Melody. Welcome to you. We will switch to this camera for the rest of the time. I think you can see everything. I think I can zoom in one more. Oops, nope, we want to go back out. Sorry about that. We'll get it back. There we are. Okay. So now you can see my surface, and I will be working on the whip just laid underneath my sewing cabinet. Sorry. We will be working on these little log cabin units, which they are only 6 inches. There's 4 of them. I've already made 2, and I have my darks and my light fabrics laying out here, and I have my little beginning squares right here. So we are going to stitch those together while we just stitch and chat a little bit. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to move these 2 out of the way because I am going to need to cut my strips down to size. Since it's a 6-inch block, I know that there isn't going to be any strip that needs to be longer than 6 inches, but the other ones are going to be cut to different lengths. So I cut all my scraps. I pulled these all from my scraps into 6-inch lengths. And that is what I will be using. So we're going to scoot that over. This is my middle one. I need a light one. And let me see. I'm trying not to use the same in my blocks, trying to mix them up a little. So I need to glance over at that just to make sure that I don't do that. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this one right here, but I happen to have a little piece left over. We'll see if that's long enough. If it's not, we'll use this other one from previous stitching. So I need that to be, looks like it's going to come out exactly what I need. How about that? Okay, we can use that one. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to sew it onto the edge of this beginning square. And you know, in a log cabin, we just keep going round and round and round until we have our block complete. Find my pedal under there. And I am not going to use the iron in between on these. I'm just going to go ahead and finger press those. And I'm going to always be finger pressing it to the one that I'm adding on. And we need to cut that long beginning thread there. We don't want that hanging out there. Okay, so we've sewn that on. The next is to go to this side. So we're always going to be turning it to the left to add on our next piece. And the next one is also going to be a light. Let me see what I have here. I think I'll use this one. And I can't give out the cutting instructions for this, of course, since it's a paid pattern, not my pattern, or I would be doing that for you. Sorry. But if you've made a log cabin, that's fairly easy to do. Okay. So now we are going to add that on to this side. And I like to do my log cabins, cutting them this way that they are to the exact size that you need, not the way that you just add them onto a long strip and cut them off, because I feel this is more accurate and it helps to keep your block squared up as you go along. That's just my preference. Go ahead and use whatever method you like. Okay, so we have our two lights on there. And I've already got it turned, so now we're going to be doing dark next. Okay, let me see. We'll just pull whatever out of here. And we'll go ahead and use this one. Get on the line and get it straight. Hello, Loretta. Welcome to you. And we are going to sew that right on this side. Lined up. The middle block goes pretty quick to make. And I'm gonna finger press that. I'm going to be sewing another dark one now to this side. And what did we just use? Let's go ahead and use this color. Which each time we change color, we are increasing the length by 1 inch. Always doing, there'll always be two the same, and then you go up an inch in the length. Of course, depending on the size of your beginning strips that you are using, that could make a difference. It will make a difference, not could. Press that in. We're going to be adding on 2 lights. Okay, let's see. What have we got? Let's go with this one. Sorry, I'm being quiet as I'm cutting, making sure I'm cutting it the right length. Hello, Christine. Welcome to you. She says she thought she was going to take a nap and then I popped up. I don't think I'm popping up anywhere right now, but I understand what you mean by that. I'm moving a little bit slow right now, but it's okay. I need to change my needle. I have to do that after done sewing these blocks. Okay. When you turn to finger press that, you'll always have it going to the next side that you need to be adding on. And let's be different and get a little darker of the lights in there. It has a funny little crease pressed in there, and that's all right. It'll come out. Cut that from the other end. I was doing that. I see that the hasn't been trimmed on the other end, so we'll use this end. And we're adding knots to that side. Pretty soon we will have this one finished. So what is everyone else working on? It is a beautiful day here right now. Oops, a little hard to press that on the ruler. We'll press it up here instead. And now we've got light, light. Okay, we've got two more darts to go on here. Just want to make sure I don't end up with the same on the outside of them. Oops, my ruler moved. Keep it flat and steady there. And I do not throw these little pieces away because I use those in slow stitching projects or in a collage. So they are saved, which they will go into. Well, I'll be showing you that later. Can't show you on this camera right now. So hopefully I'll remember to show you that a little bit later in the segment. Okay. Hello, Melissa. It is great to see you. And she says, can't believe I caught you live. I always have to watch the replays. Well, I haven't been doing lives, so this is the first live for a while. That looks a little crooked for some reason, but let me see. Oops. Those are a little on the short side. We're not going to be using that. What haven't I used? Used that one. Let's use this one. Okay. And I know that I don't have to trim this one because it is the exact size that I need. We know when it comes to that last one, if it fits on there properly, our block is square. As I said, the block should now finish at 6 inches. And I just happen to have the markings on here, so I can lay it right there. And I can see that it is the 6 inches that I need. So I'm going to set that off. Only have one more to make. If I can find my beginning square, there it is. I kind of buried it under some things. But again, we're going to start with the light. Oh, and we want to mix it up and be different. So I think what haven't I used in the beginning? We're going to use this one. And just need to trim that to size. Keep wanting to try to whistle or something while I'm working here. Thank you. They're just all left over from other projects that I have done. Joe, you know how that is. Our scraps just keep accumulating. I needed I needed greens for this project, so that's what I pulled. And now we need to add another light on this side. I'm just going to randomly pull from them. Yeah, we just used that one, so I'll go kind of randomly, but being a little choosy. We're going to take this one. Okay. Like I said, I'll go ahead and repeat. I like the method of each log being cut to the right right length because it does keep your block squared up better that way than doing the long strip method and just trimming them off as you go. You can a lot of times get it out of square using that method if you are not very careful. It's a quick method, but just finger pressing all of these as we go. And now we're going to be sewing a light one onto this side. There any in here I haven't used? Where am I? Light, we're going to be sewing a dark on there. What am I saying? We almost messed up. We need a dark one next. Let's go ahead and use this. Glad I caught myself. Wouldn't have been happy. Did any of the rest of you catch that as I say it? Every block I say it should finish at. Yes. Always hoping that it comes out the way it's supposed to. There is one strip I discovered that I had in here that was 1/8 of an inch off from what it was supposed to be in the width. And of course, I picked it up and used it, not knowing that. And I kept going, okay, how come this isn't quite right? And then I realized that. So I quickly corrected that strip and cut that extra 1/8 of an inch off of there. Does make a difference. Okay. Try to remember it. What length I was at last, so I know what I'm cutting the next one, the next round, as we say. But, okay, so now we're sewing that onto that side. Like I said, it's very easy to remember what side you're on. You just flip it, press it, it's ready, going the right direction for the next one that you're adding on. I have fingernails. It works so much easier for finger pressing when you do. Okay, dark, dark. Now we're back to light, light. Light, light, dark, dark. My one light's a little dark. That's what's throwing me off, but we need that in there for some change along the way. I don't think I've used this one for a while. We'll go ahead and use it. Okay. Trying to do this quickly. Joe says she's trying to hide from scraps. I can't hide from mine. They're all around me. That would be impossible. I just I don't use them often enough like you do, Joe. I should use them a lot more. Yep, I can tell I'm hitting those seams that my needle is a little dull, so I will be changing it when I'm done sewing today. Okay, and another light. What do I want to use? Let's use this one. Oops. Get on the fabric, Jean, or you'll wonder why that one doesn't come out correctly. Christine says she keeps making more of them. Have a big stack of 3-inch triangles. My triangles and stuff when they get trimmed, I have a bag that sits over that I pull and I just throw them into that, and then when it's full, I sit and I sew a bunch of them up into the half square triangles, and then those get put in a container to use on something eventually. Two more strips to sew on, and we're done with the making of the log cabin blocks. We just need to attach them together. Okay, dark, darkety, darkety, dark. I'm gonna pull the, we're gonna get different in here. I'm gonna use this one. Haven't used it for a while. Hey, I like quick projects, which this project, when it's done, finishes out at 28 by 24, I do believe. So it is not a big project. Which is good. I need small projects right now. I don't need big ones. Okay, and our last strip. I can't find the one I want. Maybe I used them all. I think I just found one. There it is. And I don't have to measure this one because I know it is the 6 inches. And as Joe will say, it should come out to 6 inches square. And I know that it will because my last strip is fitting on exactly right. But oh, I was going to say, why does it look like a rectangle? Because I'm sewing the last strip on and it's not pressed out yet. Scared myself for a minute there. All right. So there it is. And we finish in the exact way that our first two started. So I have all 4 of my blocks. Now what I need to do, I'm going to take that one, and I can see that this is my beginning and I want to change so that I'm going to try to place them so that I don't have any seams that I need to match. So if I turn this one this way, you see, I don't have any of those seams that I have to match there. So I'm going to put that together and I'm going to sew all 4 of these together, making sure that they line up there correctly. Just so I remember which one is my starting one, I'm gonna stick a little pin in here. So I know that's the first one. Because now I'm gonna go ahead and press that towards the one I just sewed on. Okay, and now we're gonna just take another one randomly. Oh, that one. We don't want those two together. I'm looking to see. So we're gonna take this other one so we don't have those right together there. I'm gonna decide, do I want to sew it this way or do I want to sew it that way? But I think we're going to go this way to be a little different there. Check and see. Joe says, I've been sewing random strips together for 2 days just to get them out of a bin. Sewing cardio. Yeah. Too bad it doesn't work more than our fingers, huh, Joe? Of course, there's a way to, work exercise into your sewing. If you put your strips, you know, off of your sewing table over, a few steps away on another table to where you had to get up and get them every time, that would work some extra exercise into your sewing. Which my pressing station is across on the other side of the room, and I normally get up and every seam I walk over to the pressing station, press it, and then come back so that I'm getting exercise and getting my steps in during the day. But so yeah, there is a way if we want to being able to work some exercise into our sewing routine. Okay, how do we want to do this one? Oh no. We only have one choice if we don't want to match any seams. Okay. And it all came out without any colors. Same colors touching each other. That was nice. No planning, just working with scraps. Forget what this is supposed to measure. And I don't remember if I oversized. Yes, I did just a little. I have to trim my background before this can be sewn onto it. Okay. So there we have our log cabin strip that is part that goes right on the bottom there of our panel. And I needed to do that before I do my stitching because the next step is going to be to attach that. And that is so I know you can see in this pattern, all of those stems line up right on this green. So if I didn't sew that background panel and this together before I do all this, chances are they may not line up exactly where I want them. So by sewing that together first, I know exactly where to end my stems, and that is what I will be doing. But I'm going to move this over. Boy, that went rather quickly. Whoops. And I just hit the wrong thing. Where is my camera? Lost where I am there for a minute. Okay, make sure we get the right one. I should be back. There I am. So I've made a little bit of a mess on my organized scraps that I had here. And I do kind of want to keep these in some order here because I do sort them out for where I am keeping these smaller ones, and that one, oops, are not going in with the rest. Those smaller ones are all going to go in with my slow stitching instead, but all of these are going to go in the boxes behind me that we're going to talk about also in just a minute. But I want to at least get them back laying flat here. I don't like to just throw them in. There's another smaller one. which some of these we will keep. It's just the ones that are really, really small. Oops, that's light. That's light. This is light. That's dark. Okay, now I'll straighten them out. Now, these boxes that are behind me, oops, and that's going to fall when I do that. We're going to scoot that over here for now. Oh, I don't know that I can lift those. I can't lift those right now. So we're just going to leave them right there. I have a broken rib, so I'm not going to attempt to lift those. But this is my green box right here. And that is all the fabric that is sorted by color and size for doing, oops, those were hiding under there, for doing collage quilting and similar things like that, which I said that I would be sharing what may be coming up next for working on. And you all remember brain fog, which we'll try and bring that up so you can focus, but that is going to be the collage. And I am going to be pulling my fabrics from those scraps, deciding on what I want to use for that. And then I will be starting back on that project. So you can all that have been waiting to see me work on that again will be able to see more progress in that as well. I need to see what Christine said here. Keyword being want to. Yes, want to on the exercise. I had to think, what was I talking about that you were responding to there? But which this little bowl that sits up here is where I throw those little ones that will go into my slow stitching stash. I do have my inner border strips already cut, the outer border strips cut, and my binding strips cut. So I need to keep those with my rest of my work over here. But I do need to, because I did oversize my panel. I can see because I had the line for the size that it's supposed to be cut down to, because when I was doing it, I wasn't sure whether I was going to be doing embroidery on that first before I attached it or afterwards. And to get that lined up correctly, I will need to attach it first. So I need to trim that down to the exact size that it is supposed to be. And hopefully it ended up the correct size. It should measure 22.5 inches is what this is supposed to measure. I don't think yes, my other mat under here is that. We're gonna see how close we came to that. Look at that. We are at exactly 22.5 inches. Yay! Awesome, 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 awesome. So, and this should be measured to 22.5 from there to there where I have my marking. So very good. That is ready for the next step, which I will do after I am finished here. But don't think I missed. Oh, I'm trying to think if there were any tips or anything that I missed along the way. I have just a few little notes written here that I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything that I wanted to say about that. But and I haven't, well, I think I'm pretty sure. I was going to say I haven't, oops, unfolded that one. Haven't decided yet for sure whether I was going to use the crayons for the coloring method or the colored pencils. But for this one, because they're big and whimsical, I am going to use the crayons again, plus it. Or so, oh, I know, that's what I wanted to go over. I also do not have any backing on this yet, because I don't want to put the SF 101 that we normally use for a stabilizer on any embroidery work we do on here yet because it needs to be colored. If I were to put that on there, which does stabilize the fabric, and I will be stabilizing this in a different way for that so it doesn't move while trying to do the coloring. Um, the SF-101, because it is a fusible, once you put that on there and you press it, when you use the crayons or color pencils, you will notice that it will have a little round bumpy texture to it that will show up in your coloring. If you want that added texture effect, go ahead. But if you don't, do not put your SF 101 on the back until after you have done all of your coloring. And then you can add it at the same time that you are heat setting your coloring that you did on that. So for if because you do need to stabilize it though, because it will move while you are trying to color if you don't. You can use freezer paper, press it to the freezer paper, and that will stabilize it while you are doing your coloring so it doesn't move around and you're able to color easier on it. That was one of the points I wanted to add on that I don't think I mentioned before in either one of my videos when I was showing how that method was done. But that is I do believe everything that I had for you on this. It's Wednesday in the cottage. I hope that you have enjoyed seeing how I will be transforming this from wool applique to the coloring method instead, which almost any applique pattern that you have, yeah, whether it be wool applique, regular applique, any embroidery pattern that you have, that type of thing, you will be able to use for coloring if you decide that you want to do that instead. So if you have an intricate pattern that has a lot of applique on it that you've been shying away from because you just think, ooh, I don't want to go through all that work on that appliquing, go ahead and use the coloring method instead. And you won't have to do all that appliquing. So you might have to do some embroidery. If you don't like doing embroidery, you can always go around your coloring with a machine stitch as well and do it that way. So lots of different ways that you can work with it and make it come out to be a beautiful end product and something unique that you have changed on your own. So there you have it for today. Thank you, all of those of you that are in the live chat, for joining me this afternoon. I know you're not used to seeing me live again. So as long as everything goes well, I think we'll be going back to doing the Wednesday and the Saturday live. Maybe not the Saturday, maybe, yeah, recorded still as the premiere to where I'm live in the chat, but not live when it's going on because it's much easier to do the week in review that way than trying to do that one live. So Wednesday will be live and the it is Saturday, right? Yep. And the Saturday evening at 8 o'clock when I do my week in review will be a premiere. And so thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And as always, remember, in the meantime, I can keep you in stitches. And I know many of you, I do. And thank you for that. Take care. Bye-bye.